Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's okay from bad winds in the UK last night. It was really bad. Our garden's sort of like there's stuff everywhere in the garden. So there's one good thing about today, there's no wig. Even though the wig did keep my head warm yesterday in yesterday's video. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did watch it, big thumbs up for all the comments, guys. Good bit of fun. You have to mix it up a bit because airbrushing can be too serious. Got to have a bit of a giggle and make it light-hearted. Actually just stress and worry about the piece of artwork that you're doing. So as much fun as you can have while you're doing it, the better. Right, today's video, we are doing a full-on day with H&S, which is going to be really cool. Looking forward to this. We've got 3 brushes. Now there was a comment on the post saying, are they all the 2024 range? Because we've got the Infinity, the Evolution and the Ultra. Now, I'd love it to be all the 2024 range, but the Infinity's not been released yet. So we've got my custom Infinity, which is one that you sort of can't get hold of. But this is my custom one we're using today. So it's got like a different needle and nozzle setup. But I'll tell you about this brush in the review after we've used it for the piece of artwork. So we've got the Infinity, we've got the 2024 Evolution, and we've got the 2024 Ultra. So I'm breaking this piece of artwork down today for you guys into sort of 3 sections for the 3 brushes. We're going to start off with the female face here. We're going to jump on that with the Infinity, my one. Then we'll move over to the skull and we'll jump onto the Evo with the skull. And then we can move on to the Ultra to drop the butterflies in this piece because we've got a bit of colour as well on that. And it's going to be nice to use the settings, so you'll get to see how the settings work. We'll do some distances because we've got some candies to drop in over these butterfly wings. So that's what we're doing. You can see here this is all masked off. Now the way I got this across to the piece of paper today, I'm using heavyweight cartridge paper from Hobbycraft. It's in the big booklet. It's a Winsor Newton, I think, paper. So it's a heavyweight cartridge, about 380 gram. So you can't do erasing techniques or scratch back techniques on this. So this is just pure airbrushing straight down on this piece of paper with no other sort of fancy techniques on it. We're using one colour as well. We're going to be using just one bottle of paint for this, and it's going to be Golden High Flow transparent shading grey. Now, using a transparent when you work a piece like this, I find it can speed you up. If you've got your trigger control down, where you can really put minimal paint down, you can whiz through something like this really quick because you can just build the layers up. And the beauty of a transparent is where you've got your real sort of darks, you just keep overlaying it and going over. Let it dry, go over again, and it just becomes darker, darker and darker. And then for your very light tones, just back off, very minimal trigger, and you can get them real soft shades with it. So it's a nice paint to work with on transparent, just overlaying it. It's a bit like a candy. If you used candies before, you can do the same sort of effect with a candy. We could paint this in full candy and do the same effect, just go over the top and just darken the layers up. So, transparent shading grey for the paint. We've got a bottle of water for flushing through. For the highlights on this, like the real sharp specular highlights in the eyes and little bits that are on this piece of paper, we're going to use a Posca paint pen in white and just nip over the top, just where the little highlights are. Because a lot of the time when you're working, you can spray and you can go over your sort of highlight markers. So the Posca paint pen's good. You can just nip back in, touch the highlight areas up and just keep working around it and just keep going back, bringing them and dotting them back in, bringing them out and bringing them out, because you'll get your overspray that will just sort of mist over them. So Posca paint pen, nice and simple. Couple of shields, my old faithful. They're looking really tired now, but they do work. For any sort of sharp bits, you'll see me hold the shield and spray against it to get a nice sharp edge if I need a nice sharp curve or something like that, a little bit round the eye to tighten things up. When it comes to pieces of artwork and making things like this look sort of realistic, you've got to remember, when you look at your reference, is always to remember your sharps and your softs. You could do everything on this portrait sharp. You could mask everything out, you could mask her out, you could do everything sharp, and it just looks a little bit too over sharp, if you know what I mean. It's like looking at something, sometimes you look at images in 4K and it's too much. It's like too much pop. You've got to mix it up to make it look more realistic. You mix it where you put your soft shades and transitions, and then you just pop them little sharp bits out where you need to on your reference, and it'll just sort of all come together. I always say, when you look at pieces like this is all penciled out because I've projected it across and gone round and put as much information down on this piece of paper to work from. So I'll have the tablet here and I'll be zooming in on pieces. So all I say is just paint the shapes. Paint the shapes that you can see, zoom in on a piece if you're working from a tablet, just zoom in, or if you've got your reference, you can always blank an area out so you're looking at one specific place and just paint the shapes. That's all you've got to do. Paint the shapes and the picture will take care of itself. It really does, guys. You just paint them shapes and then it all sort of comes together. It can be overwhelming looking at a piece this sort of size with this much detail on it. It can really throw you because you tend to sort of flit about. But because we're breaking this one down today, this is going to slow me down. So we'll concentrate on her face here. So that's the main piece. All this we're going to leave. And then you'll concentrate on this section here. And then you can concentrate on one butterfly here, the next one here, and then the next one here. And then it all just comes together. Instead of looking at the whole picture, thinking, oh, where do I start? What do I do? You just break it down into sections. You can always cover some of the sections off, so you're just staring at one piece. So that's about the best information I can give you on that. We've got the tripod, which is going to be this side. I'll get it as close as I can. I'm going to stick you on a time lapse for this, so you'll see this sort of come together. So the bits that I've explained just now with the paints and how I'm going to do it, that's what you're going to see, and that's how we'll reproduce this. I'll probably just starting off by just dusting in, going around, just putting some paint down, start getting the shadows in around the eyes, the nose, a bit on the mouth, and then just start to work it. So I'll see you after the first time lapse, and then I can give you a review on my Custom Infinity, tell you a bit about that, and then we move on through the brushes. So see you in the first time lapse. Right guys, we've got the first bit done. We've dropped the face down. I did drop some blacking in the end because the shading grey was just taking way too long just to darken it off. Kept going over. So I dropped a little bit of the FW ink and went over and just started to black out and darken up some of the bits. So we've got the face down. I'm going to drop a little bit more blue. When it comes to the blue in the butterfly here, I've got some blue candy I'm going to mix up. I'm going to drop a little bit in the eyes just to blue them up a little bit more. But that's the face down. We can add more later on if we need to, but we're going to start working on the skull next. Now, a little review on my Custom Infinity. I don't want to put it down. After picking it up and working with it, it's just so comfortable to work with this brushes. It really is. The new design of the trigger top that I put on this, the bigger, flatter trigger, just makes it a lot more comfortable because you can get your whole finger on the top. I did the hack to the inside, so it's tightened up the arse end a bit. So when you move back, it's got resistance there like the Springfield, but just a little bit more sort of closed in, if you sort of get what I mean. It just feels a little bit more snug going back when you move it. I've set the spring tension just right, and it's perfect feedback for this brush. You can bring the paint on and take the paint off really gradually and just move that paint to how you want it. And I find with this setup as well, because I've got the 0.15 in and the original 0.15 nozzle with the V215 needle, the needle exposure on the front is really sticking out. You can literally, if you do that, it's coming just to the end of the prong caps. That's how much needle exposure is out on this brush. So I can back off to about 20 mil away and get super fine detail down by backing off 20 mil. So I've got loads of light. I can see what I'm doing. Instead of being right near enough touching the paper, I can back off with this brush. So it's a really nice little combo that I've done with this, and comfortable to work with. It's just really soft in the hand. You don't get no fatigue in the finger. You're not really trying to find that spot where the paint is. It's just instant every time. So we've got that bit in. I've got to put it down now, and I don't want to. We're going to move on to the Evo next, and this just feels instantly different compared to, it feels like it wants to go back really quick when you move your finger. So I'm going to do a couple of test passes on here, and then we'll put you in the next time lapse and we'll start working the skull in. So we're going to go in with the shading grey again and just start working this in. I'm going to put my own textures into this, because trying to mirror match these on this little bit of tablet here, when you blow it up, it's just very sort of, it's not a very clear image. It looks as though you're looking through like a polythene bag through it. It's like blurry. It only looks tight when you bring it back to the tiny size on the 10-inch tablet. When I blow it up, it just looks very misty sort of a look. So I'm going to put my own texture in. I'll get the darks where they are, and then I'll put my own textures and just work this down, drop this in with the Evo. Enjoy the time lapse, and then I'll give you a little review on the Evo when we've dropped the skull in. See you in a bit. Right guys, there you go, skull in, not overly detailed. This is a piece of artwork that you'd stand about 1 metre away, just over about 1.5 metres, and then everything just sort of tightens up when you give it the distance. If it was a full-on photorealistic piece where you're working on a smooth surface, I could really tighten this up so when you go right in close you can see all them real tight little details. But this one's sort of a distant sort of shot, so where you are on the camera, that's about 1 metre away, so you'd be seeing it how you'd view it in real life on the actual screen you're seeing now. Now, a little review on the Evo. We've just used the Infinity for this piece, and then we jumped onto the Evo. Now, the only way I can say to you about the Evo is, have you ever experienced going in an Evolution car when they put the foot down and it pins you to the seat when the turbo kicks in? That's what these are like, and I think that's what they were named after, the Mitsubishi Evo, because it's a very fast brush. It really is. Going from the Infinity to this, the trigger, when you find that release of paint, because it's so instant now on the new brushes, the paint release, I'm used to sitting on the Infinity. It's not got delay because mine's had the hack and it's been sorted, so I get trigger response really nice on the Infinity, but the Infinity is a lot more sort of finesse with it. You can get the paint coming out, and then you can just really feather that trigger and just minimal the paint to what you want. The Evo is like, let's go, you know, get your hand on this brush, get strapped in, we're going to smash some paint down, and it does that really well. But once you find that spot, the same sort of spot as you can find on the Infinity, where you know where the release is, and you're just touching the trigger on this Evo, and it's banging the paint out, and it was really quick. It's like you're fast speed sketching with a pencil when you pick this brush up. That's the only way I can describe it. It's just fast paced, nice fast flow. No tip dry. I did a couple of times where I was like testing it and just blasting at the side, but no dramas. We use the Golden High Flow transparent shading grey. Now I've got this mix because I've strained it. I remixed it and put about, say, 30 drops of water to say that much paint in the bottle. Shake it up, and it's flowing really nice. It's good to get the shading grey running again and flowing well. The next pass on this I did to get the darker darks, I did 5 drops of shading grey and then done 3 drops of carbon black, back bubbled it and just used that for my blacks, and just re-blacked up a couple of bits here and just buzzed it out. So a very fast brush. Triggers are really responsive, guys, they really are. It's like you're just pressing down, and it's the minute you press down it starts to want to release, so you can just literally rock it on the tip of that trigger movement, and you can get paint flow. So get your paint flowing nice, good to go. I changed the needle and nozzle setup in this. I've dropped the Growler 0.2 in this for doing this, and it just worked absolutely brilliant. I didn't go for the 0.28. I wanted that little bit more finesse with it, and I think the 0.2 I think sits better in this than the 0.28. The 0.28's it's even quicker, so if you want to speed the brush up, drop the 2.8 in it, but I found the 2mm out the Growlers in this works lovely. Brilliant for doing sort of pieces this size and at that pace that you've seen it in. It's about 15-20 minutes done, the skull in. So we're going to move on to the Ultra, and this one is going to feel even weirder because I've gone from really soft tension trigger to the next style of trigger, and now we're going full on feel everything, you know, because this is like a beginner's brush. So this is mainly just outlining the butterflies in black, so we're going to go straight in with black, freehand outline all these up, and then we'll switch it up, drop some colour in. We'll drop some blue in for this one because we've got blue on this one. We've got like a pink in this, and we've got an orange in this. I've got these in sort of transparent colours, and we can just drop them in. I'm going to drop a little bit more blue in the eyes and we'll wrap it up, we'll call it done. So I'll see you in the next time lapse. Right, we're done. You've seen how quick that was in that time. That's really quick with the Ultra, ever so quick. Because I'm quite good on the trigger, going back to this brush, I'm just cleaning it out. The actual tension on the trigger of the Ultra is brilliant for a beginner, I think. Absolutely brilliant, because you want that tension in your fingers, so you're not, if you were on a soft trigger as a beginner, you would pull back really quick. With this, you have to press down to pull back, because you can't just sort of pull back. But it just stops you, and then you have to go down and then back. And I set it on level 1 on the sleeve setting, and I was sort of in between one. I found the bit I wanted and just basically held the trigger on and down, got the distance and went round and just drew round the butterflies just in black. I could go over and tighten these back up again after, but it's just down with the Ultra, not a problem. And then drop the blue in, drop the orange in and the like pink in, and just flick the trigger and feathered it out across the wings. Job done. Got a black Posca paint pen with a ruler and just lined out the edge on this piece and this piece here, and it's all done. So a nice piece with the H&S's. It was good to sit with the H&S's on this. Nice to sit with the Infinitec and just take my time with that one. Then move on to the Evo and really speed up and smash that out. And then the butterflies, dead easy with the Ultra. So 3 brilliant brushes, guys. The 2 2024 ones are a big advance for H&S, I think, especially on the designs. They flow better. I've had no troubles with paint flow in these at all. The triggers are more on point and better responsive and more comfortable, because they've now widened the triggers up, which is a lot better than the older ones where they were the smaller trigger tops. They're just more comfortable, and that's what you want when you're painting for 5, 6, 7 hours on a piece. You want something you can put your finger on that's going to be comfortable instead of being annoying and you have to keep stopping. H&S's, I just think you can sit with them all day. You have no dramas with paint flow. I mean, that is minimal on there of going across and just blasting some paint. For the amount that's been done on there, that's a minimum little test piece at the side to be just testing your brush on. You just know you can go in with these and they just work. You know you're going to hit that trigger, the paint release is going to be there, and you know when you back off that trigger, you're going to get that nice action with the paint coming off the trigger as well as going on. So yeah, we got it down in the end. I hope you've enjoyed the video today. I'm going to clean all these brushes out and stick them back on the shelf, but great to work with them. That's why I love picking these up. No dramas with the H&S, guys. So thanks again. Drop your comments. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe, press that notification, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.